What do you expect the future of energy in this part of the world to look like? And do you have plans, or what could you see potentially is of interest to you from the perspective of the organisations that you represent?
At Essar, we are blessed to be in India in the middle of this entire growth. Over the last 4 decades, we've invested very heavily in metals and mining and energy, both power generation and on the oil and gas side. In fact, over the last 10 years alone, we've invested close to $25 billion in various projects in the sector. And as I just mentioned, seeing the growth and seeing the demand in India, we continue to stay invested. We are looking at investing more on power generation and even on renewables, and continue to stay invested in oil and gas in the region. Clearly, there's going to be also a shift from the conventional energy sources, as I mentioned, to the renewables and electric vehicles and all of that. And clearly, we see this as a huge opportunity to invest over the next 2 decades.
India is a rapidly growing economy, and in particular has very important electrification plans. I think a very large number of people sit in India without electricity, of those billion that Patrick mentioned. Big electric vehicle plans, big energy plans.
Yep.
How big an opportunity is it in sort of numerical terms? And what are we talking about? And what do investors in the audience need to understand about India?
So firstly, India is clearly one of the most exciting places from an energy demand perspective. Within the next decade, we will become the 2nd largest consuming nation for energy. A very large percentage of Indian people still don't have access to energy, whether it's electricity or any other form of energy. And there's a very major plan on right now to get every household access to electricity. What this really means is a very, very large investment currently underway in the country. Our current per capita consumption is about 1/5 of what China is today. And if you look at that in terms of numbers on the power side, currently from about 150 gigawatts, we are seeing growth to 700 gigawatts by 2040. And 175 gigawatts of new renewable power has now currently been committed or is currently under investment of about, which itself is about $140 billion of investment. On the oil and gas front, to supplement what Patrick was saying, our current consumption is about 4 million barrels per day, and we are seeing growth from 4 million to 10 million barrels just in India by 2040. So all aspects of energy, whether it is conventional energy or renewable energy, solar energy, are all going to make up the mix. And clearly, from a demand perspective, India is going to be one of the places which is going to drive demand for energy going forward. There's going to be also a shift from the conventional energy sources, as I mentioned, to the renewables and electric vehicles and all of that. And clearly, we see this as a huge opportunity to invest over the next 2 decades. And clearly, for me personally, I think the electric vehicle and the adaptation of that will be a huge game changer, because India is going to get or create demand for about 260 million vehicles over the next 20 years. So, I mean, that's the space for us to watch out. The biggest advantage we have, at least coming from India, is our ability to leapfrog technology, because we are investing heavily now, and the new technologies which are available can provide us a lower cost, cheaper cost, and more environmental friendly applications and for energy.